You're watching Fantasy Studs and Suds, only on Fantasy Now Plus. Welcome, everybody, to episode 16 of Fantasy Studs and Suds, brought to you by Fantasy Now Plus and the Finns Talk Sports Network. I am the Fantasy Nobody, Jeffrey Crisp, and alongside of me is my co-host, CJ Pudge LePage. Our segments today will include Fantasy Studs before the ADP, players we are targeting or willing to take sooner than their current average draft position, fantasy leagues. We're going to deviate from that. We're going to speak with our guest, James Cook, not the running back from Buffalo. Fantasy priority, beyond the three. We continue our series on players that go beyond the third option on NFL teams. Fantasy Studs, we present our brews of the week. And then Fantasy Funds, we're going to talk a little bit about the Fantasy Football Expo recap and another round of A or B. Pudge, first of all, before I ask you how you're doing, I just want to apologize to everybody because, again, it is not a Fantasy Now Plus episode if we do not experience technical difficulties. So we apologize for the delay. This is 2 weeks in a row we've been delayed. This one wasn't as severe as last week, but we thank everybody for your patience. So now I'll ask you, Pudge, how is the middle of August treating you?
Well, it would be treating me a lot better if I could get everything straightened out as far as being on camera and all that stuff. It's been a glorious day today. And then now this. So we tried to go live, but we couldn't get out of the recording studio. We had to go out, go back in, and we are here. We're here. We are live. We are ready to go. Jamie's here. Jamie, I apologize. So much for last week. I didn't make it right on time. I didn't make it at all. Big thank you to a friend of the show, Andrew Hall. He really he carried my host, my co-host, for a little bit of it, and then they both carried me. So thank you.
Well, Jamie, it's glad to see you again. I was happy to see you at the near the end of the show last week. Talking about a show that's starting late. I don't think we kicked that off until about 20 minutes to 4. So I was very appreciative to see you on there. I have to echo the sentiments of my co-host, Andrew Hall. We are very appreciative for him being on the show last week. It was an excellent conversation. He and I had a chance to talk before the conversation or before the episode as well as afterwards. And I'm certain we will see him again on a future episode. But it was a really great conversation from the Fantasy Football Expo. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here near the end of the episode. Now, yeah, for me also, I wanted to state that this has been a great run of episodes. Like I said, we do joke about the technical difficulties that we experience, and but for the most part, we get these off, and we are able to have individuals like Jamie, who join us each and every week. And so again, Jamie, we're very thankful. I'm also I'm very sorry that we didn't get to meet up with you. I didn't see your comments that you were going to be at the expo. So hopefully next year. So I don't know, Pudge. I don't know if we have our guest waiting or not. Do you see
Not
him in there?
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. So we will have a guest joining us today on our show due to these technical difficulties. We're trying to get him into this new studio. The link that we had been using is no longer valid, so we're working through that. So we will wait to see if he is able to join us in this particular room. So why don't we go ahead and get started with we'll go ahead and get started with before the ADP. So with the NFL preseason in full swing, live and online drafts for redraft leagues are in full participation, contemplating value gained from slides, reaching for players, taking best player available, and overcoming snipes are just a few of the fun, exciting, and sometimes frustrating parts of our end of summer ritual. But the reach is not a reach if your timing is perfect and the player is someone you believe is undervalued. Today, Pudge, James, and I, once James is here, will look at a few players who, for redraft leagues, we believe are prime for a reach, players we value more than ADP. So, Pudge, why don't you get us started with your first value above ADP?
So I'd like to say hi, Charlene, and welcome to the show. I have been talking about this guy since the beginning of the year. Ricky Pearsall. Everybody else there is hurt or they got something going on. I realize that he's not going to be number one in the pecking order, but he doesn't have to be on that offense. Likely, Ayuk is going to be out 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm assuming on the pup list, and there's nobody else there. That offense will thrive on efficiency, and they're going to get him the ball. That's a high scoring offense. He'll have touchdown opportunities. I know that's not a very sticky stat, but he'll be a touchdown guy just the same way as Ayuk was prior. I mean, he's a first round draft pick, and they picked him in the first round for a reason. So they'll be using him. And I also have Mr. James Cook. I'm going to add him to the stage as well.
Excellent.
Hey,
James, how you doing? Oh, are you on mute? Oh, we're not getting sound for you.
Can't hear you, sir.
Well, we might, again, continuing technical difficulties. James, I don't know if you can hear us, but if you can, you may want to go into your settings and just double check that your microphone is configured with StreamYard. It should be near the bottom of the window. So why don't you give that a quick look while we continue to talk about Ricky Pearsall. So for me, when it comes to San Francisco, I mean, there's a lot of confusing information, at least for me, when it comes to the San Francisco receivers between Ayuk and Jennings, as well as Pearsall. It's hard for me to really understand who is going to be number one. And I heard, like you've said, I've heard you talk about Pearsall all off season. I know you're very high on him. I'm very confused, and it almost makes me want to avoid San Francisco altogether. Now, that's not realistic, especially if one of these guys is available in a very solid position. But I really, this is where I would really like to reach out to our friend Jabber, Jeff Abercrombie, because he is a huge San Francisco fan, and he lives in the Bay Area, and he'd be able to provide us some insight on it as well. James, do we have you now?
I don't know. Do you?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey,
here we are.
Okay, so let me.
Sorry,
yeah,
I just
perfect.
switched my microphone and my camera. Apparently.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, well, let me circle back and let's talk about. Let's introduce James here. So. James is an award-winning sports journalist, fantasy football player, and fellow avid beer enthusiast. So we are going to welcome James Cook. He's a senior sports writer for the Traverse City Record Eagle. So James, welcome to Studs and Suds.
For 50 years.
Sorry, I just had an ad pop up on mine. But it was
So
for Miller
welcome.
time. That's appropriate, right?
It is
Hey,
appropriate.
with that new multi-million dollar contract, you can probably get a pop-up blocker, right?
I would hope so. Yeah, I haven't seen any paperwork on the extension yet, so I don't know. My agent hasn't been returning my calls.
So, James, we are definitely thrilled to have you here today. So, we just started talking about before the ADP players that we are taking before their average draft position, and we just started talking about Ricky Pearsall. I'm not sure if you want to throw anything in on Pearsall, or should we move on to the next player?
I mean, I think Pearsall is a pretty solid option. The San Francisco wide receiver room is pretty up in the air and kind of a mess. Who knows what Brandon Ayuk is going to bring this season? They got rid of Debo. Every other wide receiver, it seems like they brought into camp, is on IR already.
Okay. I agree. And I don't know what to expect either. And that's what I was saying just before we brought you on. Pudge here is a huge Pearsall fan this year and has been espousing the virtues of drafting him in your dynasty and redraft leagues. I am kind of a wait and see approach. I'll wait too long and I won't be able to get him on my teams, but that's kind of where I stand right now. So my first player is Elijah Arroyo. Now, his ADP right now is approximately 189. He's tight end 23 coming off the board. Now, I learned the hard way that I must shut down my dynasty rookie draft mindset when it comes to redraft leagues, and I have to focus on the solid producers in the here and now. Now, Pudge has seen me do this time and time again. Dynasty, when I started playing that about 6-7 years ago, really threw me for a loop. But in this case, I am going to make an exception. Experts are ranking Arroyo way below his ADP of 189. Some are even 30 to 40 slots below where he's going. I don't get this. Now, while Arroyo may be ill-equipped to provide the same level of run support or blocking as AJ Barner can provide, he has an exceptional opportunity to shine as a receiver. There is little competition in the passing game, sans Smith and Jigba and Torrey Horton. Now, Torrey Horton has a lot of appeal in Dynasty, but he's not likely to produce this year for redraft. The Pete Carroll era is over. Mike McDonald is going to seek to utilize players, utilizing their player strengths, and including Sam Darnold's. So I think he's going to do that while also trying to maintain a balanced offensive attack. In a 12 team league, you may be unable to wait, or you may be able to wait until the 16th round to draft Arroyo. For me, however, if I'm seeking a tight end too, I want Arroyo before players like Tyler Algier, Brenton Strange, Hollywood Brown, or Cedric Tillman, all who are falling around the same round ADP wise. James, what do you think about Arroyo?
Like you said, the Pete Carroll era is over in Seattle, so maybe they'll start throwing to the tight end in the regular now because Seattle has not really produced top receiving wide or tight end numbers. Geno Smith never really threw the tight end too much, and they had decent, they had like Noah Fant, decent guys like that. They never really seemed to utilize them too much. They kept them in as inline blockers a lot and didn't use them to stretch the field or in the passing game too much. Hopefully that will change this time around. If you're in a league where you have that extra utility slot, maybe where a tight end can play and it's a really deep league, that might be somewhere where you can sneak him in or something. He is, I think, strictly a tight end too, for fantasy purposes. So I'm in one league where you have to start two tight ends. So he probably is in play in that league. And tight end, it's an auction league too. So the bidding wars on tight ends get crazy. So in deeper leagues, especially if you're in like a 14 teamer, something like that, I think he really becomes way more in play.
Pudge?
Yeah, I agree with James. In my eyes, I don't see JSN and Cooper Kupp giving up too many balls to the tight end. Those are Cooper Kupp is going to play that big slot role. JSN is going to play all over the field, and then you've got two running backs that seemingly can catch passes pretty good. I don't think that they're going to run the ball pass the ball very much. Sorry, they're going to be pounding and pounding and pounding the rock, and that's one of the things that they brought in Cooper Kupp for. So if Elijah Arroyo can't block, I don't think he's going to be on the field as much as everybody think he is.
See, I've been reading that it's not going to be as much of a running game as you would have expected in a Pete Carroll offense. I've heard it's going to be more balanced attack. They're looking to get Sam Darnold a little more involved in the passing game than other quarterbacks have been in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see because, like I said, information I've had, it kind of contradicts that. But in any case, I still think Arroyo is definitely a solid tight end 2 in redrafts. Um, I don't see a lot happening with Cooper Cup. I think he's going to provide some stats, but I think we've talked about that before. I think his days are numbered. Um, so for me, I like Arroyo in a redraft, and I'd still take him over the players that I had talked about before that are going in the you know in the 16th round. I mean, you can, like I said, you grab him in the 14th round, 15th round, especially like you were just saying, James, in a deeper league, deeper 14 team or 16 team league. You definitely want to target him. It is interesting about Seattle. One point you brought up, James, about Seattle not really throwing to the tight ends. When was the last time Seattle had a tight end that actually put up any kind of stats? I mean, do we have to go all the way back to Jimmy Graham?
I think you do, to have somebody who is like seriously fantasy relevant from week to week. You've had some guys that have put up some numbers here or there, Fant and guys like that, but not anybody that's been a consistent week to week guy since Jimmy Graham. Sam Darnold has shown that he will use a tight end pretty regularly in his history, especially when he had a good guy like Hawkinson last year with Minnesota when he was healthy. I mean, he peppered Hawkinson.
I agree. Pudge, who's your next player?
And then Jamie, he agrees. And I've seen a lot of tape on Arroyo. I have an article out that came out in March. Talks about him being a sleeper. That's mostly for Dynasty, but he does have the dog in him. Coming out of the U, he fights on every play. So there's that. It's not the inability or the thought of him blocking. It's just the nuances, and it's a tough position to learn, especially for those young guys. But my next guy is one of my favorite players again this offseason, Justin Fields. I don't know what he has to do to be a top 10 guy now. Right now, he is going at ADP quarterback 12, which is crazy to me. Every time that he goes out there, he produces quarterback 1 numbers year in and year out. Last year, he had 65.8% completion. That's up from 61% the year before. He had over 1,000 yards in 6 games. His touchdown ratio was 5-1. Those are the things that he needs to keep on building on to be a stable starter, and that's what he's doing. He came in, they shoved him out there over in Chicago. Obviously, it was a little too early. Hopefully, they go maybe the Jalen Milroe route. What I think they're going to do over in Seattle. I think those are very two alike players. They're obviously cultivating Milroe, or hopefully they're cultivating Milroe. But I really love Justin Fields, and I am willing to go up at least 2 rounds. And I normally wait on a QB. But he's one of those guys that can break fantasy for you every single week.
James, is Justin Fields a target for you?
Yeah, he's somebody that I think is definitely in play for me. I'm pretty much in most redraft leagues going to be waiting on quarterback instead of investing a high pick usually, unless somebody just kind of falls to me. So, I think that those middle round quarterbacks, there's a lot of guys there that can step up and produce quarterback 1 numbers for sure. So generally what I'm going to be doing is waiting until those middle rounds and getting a couple of guys like that, a couple of guys like Caleb Williams or Justin Fields, maybe a Drake May. Jordan Love is falling off because of the thumb surgery, but it's to his non-throwing hand, so that doesn't worry me too much. So I think I'm going to end up with probably a lot of those kind of guys, and probably more than one on each team, and you can just play whichever one takes off.
Can I add one more thing, Jeff, there?
Yeah.
And also, I'm a big proprietor of stacking my QBs with my wide receivers and tight ends. The cheapest stack out there right now is Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields. Garrett Wilson is not thought to be, the top 10 guy that he came out to be, but he's only produced 1,000-yard seasons every single year. That stacked with Justin Fields' rushing ability, and you know that he's going to pepper a target, sans DJ Moore 2 years ago. With that stack right there alone, you could win a lot of weeks. And it's very, very, very cheap.
I do like the stack that you just discussed. I think that is a very, very affordable stack and could certainly produce for fantasy. I'm not as high on Justin Fields as you are. First of all, he's a Jet, and I mean, he's a Jet. That's
touche.
I don't have to say anything more. But especially in a super flex league, I definitely would target Fields. And if I'm getting value at other positions in a redraft and it does fall to someone like Caleb Williams or Justin Fields, then I feel comfortable taking them. I may want a quarterback before Fields or Williams, but I certainly would not. If I'm getting strong at my other positions and then sacrifice a QB to go down to like you were saying, QB 12, QB 13 to get those guys, I'm certainly not opposed to that. I'm not sure though, Jamie, if I agree with you on QB 7. You have him at QB 7. Guys, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm with it for redraft purposes only, not absolutely. I think he could be top 5. He has the ability to be top 5. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Jet. So, anything else before we move on? James, on Justin Fields?
I mean, there is a nice floor there with him with the rushing ability. So I think he's one of those safe picks. If you wait, you're getting a guy with that pretty decent floor because he's pretty much going to run 40, 50 yards every week. So that's a nice little bonus there in his game. And yeah, he's going to go to him a lot at wide receiver. He's going to pepper his number 1 guy. So. Yeah, and that's pretty much all they have in the Jets right now, anyway. In that offense, outside of they have pretty good running backs, but in the passing game, they really only have one established guy.
Well, if they can get the running game going, and if they can get some of the newer guys like Mason Taylor and I'm drawing a blank on the name. Pudge, help me out. I can't remember the name. Doesn't matter. If they get some of the
Josh Reynolds
players, not Josh Reynolds.
He's their number 2 wide receiver right now.
I am not one of the Lions fans that is sore on Josh Reynolds, but we won't even go there with this one. And Justin, I agree with you, unless James you want to, but Justin, exactly. Again, he has the ability to be a top 5, but he could also be 20-30 because, well, again, he's a Jet.
You talking about Arian Smith, the rookie?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yes, I think that's what I was talking about. We're going with that. My last player is Kyren Williams. I will quickly mention that Williams is going early round 3. Now, depending on my first selection, if Williams is available mid-round 2, I'm taking him. Now, again, that's not a huge difference, but in those early rounds, that's a big difference. And he appeals to me more than Chase Brown or Bucky Irving, the latter, who is going to be sharing the ball with Rashad White, no matter what anybody wants to believe. You'll have people out there who think that Irving is going to be the bell cow who's going to have 90% of the carries. Not going to happen. So I'm going to take Williams. And so the fact
Rashad White's hurt.
When did he? Okay. So, hey, I'm a little bit late on my information. But, okay. So go ahead and regale us with the information on Rashad White. How badly is he injured?
He should be out at least until week 2, 3.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. But it's not looking too good for Rashad White. Looking like Sean Tucker for the first part of the year, at least.
We'll see. I did not know that information. That's what I get for being behind on my news. But
It just
okay.
happened this week, so
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a little bit busy this week dealing with all that real life crap that gets in the way. So,
a little
Well,
catch
Rashad
up from
White
the
could be one of
expo.
those guys you buy the dip for.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
else is
So,
gonna back off of him. So you might be able to get him late, get a deal. There's a couple other running backs like that I like this year that everybody else is kind of backing off on, and I'm gonna swoop in there and get him as like my running back 4 or something, depending on how far they fall. But guys like Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, they're still gonna get the ball. They're gonna sit out all preseason with these little injuries, but that's going to be good for them at their age and their workload that they've had over their careers. So those are going to be guys that are going to be getting the ball a decent amount when they're healthy. So if you can get them deep on your running back bench, perfect.
agreed.
We'll agree 1 out of 2 there. 1 out of 2. I love Najee, not so much a Mixon fan anymore.
Yeah, and Mixon is just that guy that he's not a sexy pick, but he just produces. He just gets you yards. Back in the day, it was Vincent Brisby. It was like my guy that I would take in one of the last rounds of the draft. Remember him? Just every year, 700 yards and 7 touchdowns sitting on the end of my bench. Somebody that I could plug in, and I knew I'd get something.
Right.
Well, that's why I think with, again, so if Rashad White is only going to be out a couple of weeks, sure, Bucky Irving will get the bulk of the work. White will be back, and at some point, the point is, I'll take Kyron Williams all day over Bucky Irving, and that's from my perspective. James, how do you feel about Williams?
Williams is a workhorse. They just gave him the big contract, the money. They're going to use him. He had the highest usage rate, I think, in the NFL last year, by far. Like, it wasn't even close who second was. And I don't see them changing that much. They may give a few more carries to some of those other young backs that they have here and there, but they're paying Kyron Williams, so they're going to use him. I think that I would take Kyron Williams over Bucky Irving every time, just because once Rashad White comes back, he's going to get carries. It's not going to be a complete committee or anything like that, but it's not going to be Bucky Irving being the workhorse and getting 25 carries every week. It'll maybe both of them be one get like 18 and one gets 12 or something. But I think I envision Tampa Bay as being more of a committee than people think.
Yeah, and I think with Williams in LA, McVay has demonstrated that unless you fall out of favor, he's sticking with you, and he is going to run you, and he's going to run you. You fall out of favor, everything changes. But until that time, he is a one-back coach, and I think that's the big difference for me, and that's why I don't understand why he's falling to round 3. Pudge, you were gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, you guys hit the nail on the head there. There's not much I can add.
Okay. All right, so many sites publish rankings and current ADP. Other sites publish the works of our guests. So, James, tell us a little bit about your involvement with the Traverse City Record Eagle and the Northern Michigan sports scene in general.
Well, I've been here at the Record Eagle since 2003, mostly covering local high school stuff, and the Detroit Red Wings have their training camp here, so we get to do that kind of stuff. But we kind of get our fingers in a little bit in everything and have to do podcasts and radio appearances, TV appearances. So you gotta know a little bit of everything. So I've been doing that for quite a long time, and I don't know, it's a fun job. I get paid to go watch high school football games. Can't beat that, right?
No, you can't.
No.
I've had a chance to read a few of your articles. I've read your articles covering high school football as well as girls volleyball. What sport is your favorite sport to cover?
I get asked that a lot, and I really don't have necessarily a favorite. It's just a matter of trying to find a story rather than just cover a team and just say that this is what the score was and this is so-and-so had so many points or so many yards. It's just finding a story and kind of dipping into that aspect of the game. And and telling that to your readers rather than just being strictly regurgitating statistics.
That makes complete sense. Go ahead, Pudge.
Speaking of stories, I'm going to go a little off here. I am looking at your background. If you don't have a favorite sport, do you have a favorite record?
Oh, I don't know. I've got
I'm looking at that background, and it looks like you may have a couple records.
a few. I think I've got like about 600 or something like that.
That's awesome.
I've got like Metallica's entire discography.
Yes. Sweetness.
So I've got all.
Sorry, Jeff, but I saw the records and I had to go. I love it. I love it. It's awesome that you still play vinyl. That's amazing.
It's not a cheap hobby.
No, it's very expensive now. Yeah.
Someone we both know, Mr. Jeff R. is a huge audiophile who loves vinyl as well. He's very, very into it, but like you said, it is not inexpensive any longer, especially anything that's of pristine condition, as you're aware. So, James, how often do you cover the Detroit Lions and the NFL in general? And if so, in what capacity?
I mean, I usually go to a couple of games a year as a fan. The Detroit Lions do have a program called the High School Coach of the Week, where they pick a high school coach of the week every week, and they don't do it themselves. They have a panel of sports writers around the state. So I'm one of the 5 guys on that panel. And,
awesome.
And then towards the end of the season, usually in December, they bring the coaches down to honor them during the halftime, and they bring the people from the panel too. So I get to go to one game for free every year, which is nice for doing a Zoom call every Sunday evening during the football season. Other than that, I just was at the joint practice on Wednesday, purely in a fan mode. So I got to watch the Lions destroy the Miami Dolphins. It was brutal. The Dolphins just look like a JV team.
I saw some of those St. Brown highlights, and oh my Lord, he was torching them.
Yeah, and Aiden Hutchinson is in midseason form already. He was putting tackles on ice skates and just parking them into his lap.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Well, as Lions,
that's a good feeling.
That is a good feeling. Well, James, I want to congratulate you on recent awards with your news network and the Michigan Press Association. What you can tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, they had every year they give out a Sports Writer of the Year award for our company that owns about, I don't know how many it is, 150, 180 papers, something like that around the country. So I got the Sports Writer of the Year this year from them. And then in the Michigan Press Association, in our division, I got first place in all 3 of the sports writing categories, which is sports writing, which is like game stories, sports feature, and sports columnist.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you were actually also runner-up to yourself in one of those categories, were you not? I saw a couple first and second place finishes in the same category.
Yeah, I got second in one and third in another, and I can't remember which one's which. The column one, though, was for a column on the Lions. So I was happy about that.
Well, that's excellent.
That's awesome.
Excellent. So you and I played in a fantasy league that disbanded, I think the next year. It was 1 year. When did you first start playing fantasy football? And can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with it?
I started playing in college. So in the, early mid 90s, back when you had to still do everything by hand. We eventually started moving on to some other websites like Sandbox, which is now no longer, hasn't been in existence for quite a while now. And then Yahoo, ESPN, all those and stuff. So I usually do quite a few football leagues every year now, maybe about 8 to 10. And I'm usually in a couple of baseball leagues as well.
Yeah, I'm in a baseball league for the first time in a very long time, and that can be very exhausting compared to fantasy football.
Baseball is a little bit more involved than football because at least in the leagues that I'm in, you can change your lineup every day.
Yep.
So like
Yeah.
that's the first thing I do every morning. I wake up, I roll over, I get my phone, I change my baseball lineups.
Is yours pure rotisserie or is it head to head based on categories?
One of them is head-to-head rotisserie, so it's 12 categories. The other two are points. They're new leagues that I'm in this year. There's some guys that I was in football leagues with invited me to. So that's a little bit of a departure for me, and I'm picking it up, but not doing well in one and doing pretty decent in the other.
So now you told us about two of the players that you are selecting on the dip. Is there anyone that you truly love for fantasy this year?
I mean, it all depends. I think where you pick to an extent, especially in the first round. There's some guys that I think on tight end. I think Hawkinson will have a pretty good season again this year. I think JJ McCarthy is going to look his way a lot. Just seeing a little bit of what they've done in the preseason, seems like McCarthy's kind of got the happy feet a little bit in the pocket, and when you get that, you kind of tend to look for your shorter, closer guys, and that's going to be Hawkinson rather than Justin Jefferson.
Okay. And James, we have a question for you actually from Jamie. Who is your all-time favorite baseball player?
Ooh, I would probably say Alan Trammell.
Oh, old school Tiger. Ah,
Miguel Cabrera, though, pretty darn good. I loved how like kind of just gregarious and how he just had fun with it and doing all kinds of the stupid stuff like taking nachos from fans when he would go chase a foul ball or touching Adrian Beltre's head because he hated it.
How tragic is it that Lou Whitaker is not in the Hall, or do you believe he doesn't belong there?
I absolutely think he should be in the Hall of Fame, and it should have been a long time ago. Yeah. Trammell and Whitaker to me is the best double play combination perhaps of all time. And Whitaker as a second baseman for his era is one of the better offensive threats as well. So I don't see any reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
You and I agree completely on that. What I don't agree with is Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. Not quite a real player.
fictional.
But that's funny, Jamie. So favorite players are definitely targets during our fantasy football drafts, but knowing which players beyond the studs to draft for each position is crucial. When perusing NFL rosters for running back, wide receiver, and tight end, spotting 3 players with significant fantasy relevance is rarely difficult. With many rosters, however, identifying contributors past those 3 players may take a little more work. Today, we continue Beyond the 3, a multi-part series where we will isolate 1 or 2 players on each team's roster we believe can contribute to your fantasy team's success. Now, these are players that may already be a mid-round target for fantasy GMs, or they may be late-round sleepers. Or they may even be undrafted free agents sitting on the wire. This week, we're going to feature Carolina, New England, Las Vegas, Los Angeles Rams, Baltimore, and New Orleans. Please note that all rankings provided are courtesy of Fantasy Pros and are based on Dynasty half-point PPR, 0.1 points per yard, and 6 points per TD, with all experts selected. With that said, let's try that again. With that said, let's kick off Carolina. Pudge, who do you have?
I've got Jatavian Sanders. He was a darling last year in everybody's rookie drafts. Didn't have the best season, but who did in Carolina, right? Other than Chuba Hubbard. Now,
And Adam Thielen for about 4 weeks.
Right. With Ted McMillan, Adam Thielen, Old Faithful, Chuba, and a more mature Bryce Young, I think I'm not going to say this too loud because I think that they're going to be a top 20 offense. That being said, because they were bad last year. I mean, bottom of the barrel bad. Jatavian had 1 touchdown last year, and I expect that to go up. He had 33 receptions. I expect that to go way up. Bryce Young, a little more mature, getting a little better with the ball. Maybe that benching from the old Red Rifle helped last year. He took it to heart. And for all intents and purposes, I think Jatavian Sanders is gonna be that guy. He's uber athletic. He's 6'4". He's got the big frame, and he's got the weight behind it too. He's over 250 pounds. He's got the moves. If you watch that flea flicker from Texas when he was getting drafted, that was awesome from Kuhn Ewers. He, like I said, he's got the moves. He can move down the field. He can move the chains, and I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a great possession guy for those guys and a red zone threat along with Tet.
James, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. He could be somebody who could be in those 2 tight end leagues, or where you want a good backup at tight end. I think he's a pretty good option there. One thing I look at in these teams, sort of where they don't have a star running back, is and Hubbard put up a pretty good season. So I mean, he's supposed to be like about a 4th round pick, sort of, I think, going on ADP. So he may not necessarily fall into this group, but those other teams where you have 3 or 4 running backs who haven't claimed the job yet, and you don't know who's going to be the guy, it's like take all 3 of them late in the draft and let it sort itself out, cut the other 2, and profit. I did that a couple years ago with the Jaguars when James Robinson had his 1,000-yard season, and that was, I think, that propelled me to a fantasy title.
Well, for me, I like Sanders. I like Sanders late in redraft. He's definitely going to be.
And he's tight end 24.
Yeah. So I think, well, I'm talking about from a redraft 24. That's in the dynasty perspective. In a redraft, I don't know where he's landing in redraft, especially with ADP, but there's a chance that he's going to be on the wire in dynasty. Going in the 16th round, I'd take Sanders. We've talked about Sanders before on our episodes, and we're both solid on Sanders. I agree. My player is Jalen Coker. In dynasties overall 171, wide receiver 70. So he's going 1 spot after Sanders, but way down the pecking order as far as wide receivers are concerned. Now, he appeared in 11 games last season and had 32 receptions for 478 yards. With an ADOT of 11.3, almost 3 of every 4 catches were first downs. The catch rate was 69.6, but notable was he had 0 drops. 0 drops. There are obstacles for Coker to provide fantasy support for GMs. Adam Thielen is still in the Carolina mix, but that is a very short term. Will Leggett ascend in his 2nd season after a very pedestrian rookie campaign? Don't know. But then you add Tet McMillan, who may very well become the featured receiver. But then you got to, will he live up to the hype? We all saw what happened with Marvin Harrison Jr. when everybody hyped him as the next coming of Jamar Chase, and that didn't transpire right away. And then finally, there remain questions about Bryce Young. Will his play limit Coker's upside? Pudge, you've already said that you believe Bryce Young is going to take a step forward, and that may very well help Coker. Now, given these questions, round 14 may be a stretch, but if you are in need of a wide receiver at that stage, he may be worth a look over others like Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, or Josh Palmer. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think
Go ahead, James.
I think he can be an option there. If Bryce Young takes a step forward this season, which I think he will, at least, I think he's at least going to be a better version of what he was last season. That's the second half of the year. After the benching, he was a lot better when he came back. So I think that his production will go up from last season. Their offense will be a little bit better. They've got Chuba Hubbard. They've got some pretty decent depth behind him at running back with Dowdle. They've got the younger ETN and the guy they drafted in the second round last year. But I think he's coming off injury, and I'm not sure when he's going to come back. But so they got a pretty decent deep running game. So I think that the offense as a whole should be better than it was last season. They've got some other wide receivers or other running backs. Other wide receivers on the team. I mean, they've still got Xavier Legette. They have Hunter Renfrow, I think, on their roster right now, which I completely forgot that he changed teams.
He didn't play at all last year. Yeah, he was absent from the league. So we'll see. I don't have much to say about Jalen Coker. He's a guy to me. He's a Jag. He filled in for Adam Thielen when he was hurt, but they didn't have anybody else to throw to. They're down in games. So, I mean, they're going to be down in games again. But with Tet and Legette and Thielen and Sanders, Coker will be it'll be tough sledding for him to get out there and get some balls thrown his way.
Yeah,
I feel bad for him because I think he's a good player. I really do think I think he is a very good possession wide receiver, but I don't see him getting on the field with all of that draft capital out there.
Agreed. All right, why don't we start off with New England, Pudge?
Oh, I'm a big Ramondre Stevenson guy this year. I know everybody is loving themselves some Travion Henderson after that kickoff return. Let me repeat that. It was a kickoff return. He's playing special teams. He's not going to be running the ball every single play. He's a new shiny toy for Josh McDaniels, which is great. But Josh McDaniels is a firm believer in veteran players. He's always going to gravitate towards those guys. They got an upgrade in offensive tackle with Morgan Moses, who was a Jets free agent. I know I said Jets, yeah, but he was one of their best linemen. And then they drafted Will Campbell out of LSU. He will probably do I think he's going to go the Penei Sewell route, and he will be at either right guard, right tackle right away. And then they brought in Garrett Bradbury, who was a Vikings free agent. That offensive line is a massive overtaking. And they probably won't show a big improvement the first month of the season, maybe the first 6 weeks. But after that, when they start to gel, because the run blocking takes time for those guys to communicate, learn each other's nuances. Once they get that going, that offensive line is going to be nasty. And there's going to be a lot of room for him to run. He's a big dude. And I know he had a few fumbles last year, but Josh McDaniels is going to rely on Ramondre big time.
James?
Yeah, I think Ramondre could be in they have the rookie who has got all the hype now and everything, but Ramondre is the incumbent. If he doesn't have the ball security issues, he's going to get the early down work. So I think he's a pretty good stable floor guy that you're going to get some production out of if you put him in there every week. Guy I like for the Patriots is, and he's a number one guy, but he's going so low in drafts is Stephon Diggs. I mean, I'm looking at ESPN's rankings right now. He's 77, wide receiver 39. He's a number one wide receiver on his team. And those are the guys that I love to get in the late drafts. I mean, if you're getting him 7th, 8th round, he's a guy that they're going to have to feed because he has the personality where if they don't, he will be an annoyance. and he will complain about it. So they're going to get him the ball. It's just a matter of whether he stays healthy or not.
Right.
Well, I agree with that. As far as Stevenson's concerned, I think the one big complaint about Stevenson the first couple of years is the fact that he would play really strong, and then near the end of the season, especially fantasy playoff season, he would just fall off a cliff. And there was a lot of questions about his ability to make it through a season. With Travion Henderson, what I like about that is he's going to take enough of those carries that hopefully Stevenson is going to maintain. Is going to be able to maintain his game throughout the year and be able to provide support for a fantasy playoff run for those who have him rostered and are starting him. So that's kind of my look at Stevenson and Diggs. I agree. Diggs is someone who I think is, he's way up there in age, but when you are going to be one of the number one targets on the team for Drake May, it's something that fantasy owners should be considering. My player is Hunter Henry. He's overall 165, tight end 23 in Dynasty. Hunter Henry is not flashy, and he doesn't put up gaudy tight end 1 numbers, but at tight end 23, the 30-year-old Henry is a sound tight end 2 or tight end 3 for your team. Last year, the 29-year-old Henry missed 1 game, yet had career highs in targets, receptions, yardage, and first downs. His ADOT at 7.0 was slightly below the norm for tight ends, but he garnered 4.1 average yards after the catch. He only found the end zone twice, and he won't break tackles, but he has steady hands and grinds out the first downs. Yes, I agree that people like Austin Hooper, he's still in the mix, but if you are seeking a stable, consistent backup tight end, taking Henry in the 14th round seems like a solid play.
The guy always scores touchdowns. He always scores touchdowns, and he's there. He's the red zone guy. I don't see Stephon Diggs, not his stature, not this part of his career, being a touchdown guy. I don't see Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas. Sorry, I don't see him being their touchdown guy. It's gonna be him. And then who else? Hunter Henry is their guy when they get down there. Now, granted, they're going to be running Drake May a lot down there in the red zone. He'll take some of those, but it's going to be primarily Hunter Henry with his solid hands.
Agreed. So let's bang through some of these Las Vegas, Pudge. We have one for Vegas.
Yeah, Jack Bash. Everybody knows. So our top 3 guys over there, or top 3 or 4 guys over there, we all know those. Genty, Gino. You got Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, right? Who's that? Who's left over? It's not going to be Michael Mayer. It's going to be Jack Bash. Jack Bash is going to be the Jacoby Myers replacement, and I'm hoping it happens sooner rather than later. Jacoby Myers quietly gets 1,000-yard seasons every year, but alongside of him, Bash had a pretty good draft profile. I know he's a little older. He was a darling at the Senior Bowl, and he did all that after losing his brother. It was a hard week for him, and that gives you a mental makeup of this kid. This kid, he wants to produce and produce well. TCU, they got a lot out of him, and I think he's the next man up. If Jacoby goes down, he'll be a great stash because nobody out there is catching balls besides Bowers, Myers, and probably Genty.
James, anything on Besh?
Yeah, I think he could be that Jacoby Myers, target hog kind of role. Where Myers is going, I like him too in a PPR, especially in a full PPR format, just because he's, that catch a pass for 8 or 9 yards all the time kind of guy. Like he just piles up the receptions. Usually doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but in a PPR format, he can be pretty valuable. The guy I asked would be Dante Thornton on that team as a real deep, like last round or free agent type of guy. But he's 6'5". He's going to be maybe that red zone target that they really don't have in Myers or Betch because they're not those huge guys. But like you said, Geno can run maybe a bit in the red zone. They got those 2 tight ends that are both pretty good in the red zone. But I think as far as wide receivers, Thornton is that big guy who could maybe not have a whole lot of catches on the season, but have a decent amount of touchdowns.
Well, I think especially you're going to see so much double and triple coverage on Bowers. It was the same way, how the Lions, a lot of, people handled Laporta after his amazing rookie season. You started seeing a lot of double coverage, and that's going to free up somebody. Somebody's got to be in the end zone, and it can be very similar to I'm drawing the blank on the name of the Tennessee receiver who
Calvin Ridley.
It's like the
Westbrook
receiver
Akine?
who. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it seemed like every other reception he had was for a touchdown. It was pretty amazing. I can't remember where he went. Is he?
He went like 7 weeks in a row. He plays for Miami, I believe.
Miami,
I think he is Miami or the Bucks, one of the Florida teams.
Yeah, but that was great. Los Angeles Rams, Pudge.
So all the balls are taken, right? Puka's gonna get them. Devontae Adams gonna get them, and Kyren. I don't see Higbee being much of a person, so I'm gonna go with Blake Corum because if Kyren misses any time, and he will, Corum's gonna have to step in. I know Jarquez Hunter. There's a lot of hype on him, and I actually been into the hype a little bit. For Dynasty, I love him, but next year, I believe if Kyren misses any time, Blake Corum's going to run in, and he could win you a season if Kyren's out for the rest of the season. But not much standalone value. So,
I mean, as a handcuff to Williams, I absolutely love that pick. If you can get him really late, depending on how deep your roster is. If you're in a shallow bench league, you wouldn't be taking him. But if you're able to roster numerous players, having him as a handcuff to Williams is definitely a smart move. Baltimore Ravens.
I love Isaiah Likely. He has standalone value. Last year, Mark Andrews went down, and he had to miss I think the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Isaiah Likely stepped right in there, and he was tight end 1. This year is the last year of Mark Andrews' contract, and I mean, I don't think they're going to pay him at his age. Likely should step in. Likely step into that role, and it would be very, very nice for us fantasy managers who are drafting him, as their tight end 2 or their late round draft flyer. Because nobody knows what's going to happen with Andrews. He could just start declining. He's declined every year. The past 3 years. So if he declines anymore, he's not going to be too useful. He'll be one of those guys where the young buck just comes up and takes his starting spot.
James, how likely you to take Likely in the 12th round or 11th round? Excuse me.
I don't know about taking him there, but I don't dislike the player. I think they are starting to move away from Mark Andrews. They haven't re-signed him to an extension, so I think it's the writing is on the wall that he's on the way out. Isaiah Likely is on the way in as their tight end, and in that Baltimore offense, the tight end is gold. So I do like Likely as a player, and as a dynasty guy, if you could possibly still get him, he would be pretty good down the road too. Their bye week is week 7, so drafting both of them maybe not a great thing unless you have a deep enough bench that you could draft somebody else to play that week 7, or just sign somebody for that 1 week and just stream a guy for 1 week. But having both of them is something, if Likely slips, that would be a pretty good pairing to have. So if they, at the beginning of the season, if they just start going away from Andrews, you play Likely.
Well, if you're in a redraft league where you're starting 2 tight ends, it's a unique approach, and I could see it working, especially as I'll talk about in a minute when it comes to the stats. But I think in a dynasty redraft, if you're getting Likely in round 12, that's a good hit. I think that's a good pick at that position. My player is Rashad Bateman, overall 145, wide receiver 64. Bateman had career bests in targets, yardage, and first downs, and his 9 TDs more than doubled his TD total his first 3 seasons. Now, while he's second on the team in targets, well behind Zay Flowers, the addition of DeAndre Hopkins and the tight end tandem of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, consuming 127 targets and accounting for 1,150 yards and 17 TDs last year, will make productivity difficult for Bateman. I think you're going to continue to see that out of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They're going to be on the field, sometimes both at the same time. They are favorites of Lamar Jackson. And, it's unlikely that Bateman is going to get 9 TDs again or end zone receptions. And I just think there are some solid names in round 11 where his ADP sits, and even in round 12 ranking that I would take someone else. So I wouldn't take him in those spots, but if he slides to round 13 or round 14, he may be worth the grab in a dynasty startup.
And then I saw Jamie.
Go ahead.
Or, yeah. I was just saying, I saw Jamie. He was talking about Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell looks like he's on the Marvin Harrison Jr. Diet. And he looked like he gained about 30 pounds. And he looked really, really good. So if anything happens to Henry, he will be the next man up. I don't think that they are going to be going with Justice Hill too much anymore. I think it'll be Keaton Mitchell. He's got a lot more explosive side to him. Sorry, that was it.
No, that's all right. I'm just reading this comment where apparently this league that Justin and I are in tomorrow is starting 3. That's not true. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yay.
I probably should actually review the rules and the starting positions and before the draft. That might be ideal. He is kidding. Okay. I didn't think there'd be 3 tight ends, but that'd be rough. But anyway, final team. And by the way, yes, we're running late, but that's just fine because it is great to have James joining us today. New Orleans Saints.
Oof, man. I'm going to go with Devin Neal. Devin Neal, to me, could likely be the Kamara's not garbage duty, but he's going to get the other. They're not going to give anyone besides Kamara the ball. Devin Neal might be the second guy up. I don't see anybody else. They just got rid of Jamal Williams. He's up. I think he's trying out for the Bears, doing something like that. He was their backup while he wasn't hurt. And then Kendre has just been a total debacle ever since he's been drafted. So I really like Devin Neal here. My other guy would have been Juwan Johnson as a tight end. Those are the 2 guys that I'd be keying on this very, very poor offense next year.
James?
I think Kendry Miller could be a pretty decent value, especially for as late as you can get him, which is like in the round in the 20s. They're going to be a bad offense, which means they're going to be in third and long a lot, and he's the pass catching back. So he could be that kind of Theo Riddick type guy where, it's 3rd and 12 pretty regularly, and he's catching those 7-yard passes where they hope maybe he can break a tackle and get a first down. But that one pass for 7 yards is 1.7 points in most leagues. So in a PPR league, he could be a pretty decent guy to stash there on your bench.
For Dynasty, I mean, other than Olave, I just don't know. I want anybody from the New Orleans Saints. I mean, that's just amazing because for years, you were looking to the Saints for, for quality fantasy players, and it's hard to really. Again, Jawan Johnson, yeah, Olave. Let's hope he's healthy and can
maybe best ball.
Yeah. Other than that, it's really tough. Okay, before we move on, James, we started late and we're going long. I want to be respectful of your time. Now, this is our best segment coming up, but I just want to make sure you're okay.
I'll be all right.
Okay. All right. All right. For fantasy GMs, many lesser rostered players can provide, can get us in that. They can get us into the group. Many craft beers can also provide the beer lover something hoppy or something smooth. So let's suds up. Craft beer is great, but responsibility is first rate. If you are not drinking at home, I don't know why I have to try to rhyme all the time. I got to stop doing that. But I know that's why you were laughing at me. But anyway, if you are not drinking at home, please have a plan for safety. Responsibility is 100% your responsibility. If even 1 ounce you imbibe, not 1 mile should you drive. I just did it again. Pudge, what beer are you enjoying today?
Well, I have a Sierra Nevada. Oh, you can't see it because I have some my green screen. I've got a hazy IPA. It's here we go. Oh, man, you're gonna kill me because it's not in a glass, but here. Oh, baby. She's delicious too.
So James, if you haven't watched our show before, this is a big step up for Pudge, who has had anything from toilet water to Busch Light in his cup. So maybe never toilet water, but he's had some interesting selections. He's starting to get into the IPA selections, and I commend him for making that effort. So thank you, Pudge, for doing that. James, what do you got?
Well, I happen to have an IPA. This is called Strata Out of Hopton from Starving Artist in Ludington. So it's an IPA with Strata hops, and should be pretty good. I've just kind of looked in my beer fridge and seen what I had that was a little bit different, but it's an IPA. Really good. If you haven't had Starving Artist, they don't make anything bad.
No, I love Starving Artist, and I definitely want to get more of that. We lost Pudge. Oh, Pudge is back. And, I know you're a huge craft beer fan. I also know you're a member of the 10K Club on UnTappd. So, cheers that you're drinking something local in Michigan. My beer this week is not local. It's from Avery Brewing in Boulder, Colorado. It's a beer called Highliner Hazy IPA. And it's coming in at a modest 6.0 ABV. What now?
So Jamie said, I got a nice THC, smooth and calming.
That's a future show. That may be a future show, Jamie. Especially if we get full legalization around the country, we'll bring that. We'll bring you that show. But so anyway, this beer, like I said, well, it is in Michigan. I agree. So, Pudge, James, cheers.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going to Taxman tomorrow. So after our draft, where I'm apparently drafting 3 starting tight ends and 2 backups, we are going to go to Taxman to celebrate those draft selections. So I'm looking forward to Taxman. I love Taxman. There's a couple
Taxman is
others we've
great.
talked about. So it's really good. So
Yeah,
Cal-
really,
I went
So-
there last year, but I went at the Lions Colts game. I think it was.
Okay.
And,
there's some. Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Pudge.
I was gonna say, do you ever go down to the combine over there in Indy for the paper?
no, we're way north in Michigan. We just went down there to Indy last year for the Colts game. Me and some friends.
Oh, okay. Oh, that wasn't a work.
Made a
Okay.
weekend of it, and no, I don't cover the Lions much in person. I mean, I covered the Super Bowl back in '06 when Detroit hosted it. Went to training camp once or twice.
Yeah, it's quite a hike from Traverse City.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour drive to Detroit. So
Yeah,
I used to
you're
Oh, Charlene, I am definitely looking next year. She says next year I'm bringing some Cali IPAs to the expo. Definitely, definitely. You need to hook us up with some of that. So I know there's several beer shares that happen at the expo. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah, definitely. When it comes time to do the chats, either on Discord or on X, we'll definitely have to discuss meeting up, and we'll trade you some of our quality Michigan brews for some of those IPAs.
Mhm.
So, and let's see. James, I met you around 8 years ago in a small brewery. That's how you and I actually met. It was somewhere in the Traverse City area. It was I cannot recall the name of it. I'm sure you might remember. It was a little bar. It was brewing that happened. I don't remember, but if I'm not mistaken, you also brew your own beer.
Yeah. Up until recently, I was actually the president of the Northern Michigan Homebrewers Guild. So I had, due to time constraints with work and everything, I kind of had to give that up. But I still go to the meetings and brew beer and all that stuff. So yeah, so you guys were talking about THC one time. A friend of mine had me brew a beer with THC in it for a party of his a couple of years ago. There was a lot in there. He had me put a lot in there. I had like a couple of sips, and I think I was asleep at 8:00.
There are many nights where I need to get to sleep. Maybe I need some of that brew. Then that would be excellent. All right. So, and Justin, shout out to Charlene, guest on Tuesday's show this upcoming week. Once again,
Sweet.
Fantasy Now Plus has a lot of excellent shows between our articles on fantasynowplus.com and the shows that you can see here on YouTube, as well as Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music. We are going to have numerous shows once the season kicks off. So there's a full slate. Go to fantasynowplus.com to check out what shows are streaming when. And again, all shows can always be replayed on the aforementioned sites. So Suds at home are exceptional, but not as exceptional as mingling with some of the greatest broadcasters, analysts, and fans in fantasy. The Fantasy Football Expo was held last weekend in Canton, Ohio. For Pudge and I, this was our second expo. I won't speak for Pudge, but attending the expo is an incredible experience for anyone who loves fantasy football, whether a fan, an analyst, or even award-winning sports writers. Pudge, how would you describe your weekend?
Winning. That's what I'll describe it as, winning. So I took third in the poker tournament. I will showcase my Jamar Chase signed helmet that I won. Thank you very much. That is why I actually was not available for the crowd, for the masses last Friday. That and I also got to take the IDP trophy home from last year that I won. We're gonna run it back this year. So it was I don't know. My arm hurts from carrying all this stuff. I don't know. what I got to do to let the fantasy nobody win some stuff. But I heard that there was an extracurricular poker tournament that you may have lightened some pockets with, sir.
Well, first of all, it was incredible playing this year in the unofficial start of Fantasy Football Expo, the Icebreaker tournament sponsored by Football Guys. Last year, you and I both busted out early, which led to
Very
into
early.
Hall and you icing me, which is something I never want to do again. And then this year it was incredible. You and I both made it to the final 13. I think no, excuse me, 12. I finished 12th, and you went on to that third place finish. So it was an incredible experience. I'm glad that you finished third. To have us, go that long was great. As far as the game that went on later that night, there was an excellent tournament. I'm not going to mention the person who was sponsoring that game at their Airbnb, but it was several players, and I did phenomenally well once I actually woke up. So I fell asleep
on the
at the
couch.
table. You fell asleep on the couch. I fell asleep at the table, which did not please a couple of the people who were there. And there were some big names, big analysts who were present at that game. So they got pissed off at me. So I just woke up and took their money.
It was a blast. It was
a lot of fun. I am not used to staying up until 5 a.m. any longer. I don't recommend it for us, for us old people here, but it was a lot of fun. And the rest of the expo, I mean, everything from the IDP tournament, like you said, draft night out was incredible. Being able to draft with a lot of different people, both fans and analysts and experts who get involved in these leagues. It's not as big as like the King's Classic and the Queen's Classic, where the best of the best are participating, but it's definitely an excellent runner up. And then the parties, being able to just rub elbows with people that we know in the industry. And then I think, we even had the opportunity to have lunch with someone. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
So we were over at, what was that? What's the place called? Anyway, it's in the village. It's in the Hall of Fame village. And we ran into Miss Erica Davis, and she thought my name was Jake Moody because the day prior I was in a draft. That's where I got the IDP, and I put my kicker on my ID tag. Well, from that moment forward, I was Jake for the rest of the day. To Miss Erica Davis from Fox Sports. And it was, I don't know, it was a good story. It was fun. It was a good laugh. We also saw a couple other big time names. I don't know if you want to mention those guys or not.
No, go ahead. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Erica. What was phenomenal is as we were sitting there at the bar, she was supposed to be covering, and I mean, nobody watching this is going to be able to get her into trouble, but she was supposed to be working, and instead she was very interested in beer. She wanted the beer, and so she tried I think she tried one flight and a couple other beers, and she was doing, and then she was fortunate enough that there was a red flag on the start of the race due to I think a programming issue. So she was very excited to get those extra few minutes. Why don't you go ahead and talk? We also saw Lindsay Rhodes. I think we got her
Lindsay
our picture
Rhodes
with her. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this guy, Bob Harris. Bob Harris was there. He's great. Sal Leto, and the man, the myth, the legend himself, Scott Fish.
Yep.
Scott Fish was there, and it was a very good flight. And then we partook in what else? We didn't do too much else that day. Just some board games back at the house. That was pretty much it. But that was a very good Sunday. meeting up with Erica and just seeing the other side of things, the more professional, more industry driven side of things is really cool. She gave us a couple of like uh, instances and things that she goes through. Like you said, she was working, but she was also having lunch, talking to us. Um, thank goodness for Live Golf, because Live Golf was the reason that they gave the red flag for the Indy race. But it was a blast. Just getting to know the real side of people. Like she loved beers, we loved beers. We were all talking beers for a good hour and a half, and that's the fun thing about the expo is you don't see these people, and then when you do, yes, I bet you drafting with Lindsay would be terrifying because she is very, very smart. And like she said at the panel, she said, "I don't care if you think I look good. Talk to me about my analysis on this player, X player, this player." And that's how a lot of these people are. They don't care about that side of things. They want to know, hey, was this a good take? If it was a bad take, tell me why. Uh, and they're so approachable. They want you to approach them there. The expo, that's what it's for. It's for you to pick their brain and get to know them on a more personal level. They're not robots. So, and I'm sure James knows a lot of, I mean, because he's got to deal with a lot of people. Once they meet you, they try and pick your brain and stuff. And for the most part, I would bet that you are very open to sharing all your knowledge.
Oh yeah. I had one time when I was at Lions training camp, and I was just there for like one day, and I'm just sitting there on the sideline watching practice, and John Clayton walks in, and
Yeah.
he just sees me standing there watching practice intently and thinks I'm one of the beat reporters and just starts asking me questions about the Lions.
That's cool, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, it's incredible because everyone there is so approachable. It's the one thing about that expo is you realize that every expert, every analyst, they want to talk with you. They if you're just a fan and you love fantasy football or football in general, if you show up there, these experts, these analysts, these broadcasters, they will speak with you. They will answer your questions. They will have a drink with you.
Yeah.
It's an incredible community. And I was going to ask you, James, have you been to the expo before?
I have not. No, I usually take a couple of weeks of vacation in the middle of the summer. And so I'm usually coming off of vacation like right before high school football starts up, first practice of the year and everything. So I can go hit those and everything up here. But and I think it's like the week after that. So it'd be taking a lot of time off in a short period of time.
It's funny because that
sounds great though.
That same comment resonates with a lot of people in your same position where their schedules just simply don't allow for them to partake in the expo during the summer. And again, a lot of them have children. The expo have been in the early part of August for the longest time, and a lot of schools start. I mean, here in Michigan, schools start a little bit later in the year, but a lot of other places they start earlier in August. And so a lot of parents are unable to take that time away. Well, next year the expo is the last weekend of July. I think they're targeting the end of July moving forward. So, if you get the opportunity, whether James, it's you, I mean, hey, come down with us. We'll be more than happy to hang out with you all weekend. But if you're a fan and you've never been to the expo, I recommend purchasing tickets and securing accommodations early. They do get filled up quickly. But if you if you go down there and you just start talking to people, you will not regret it. All right, since we're way behind, we might also get farther behind. Do you have 5 more minutes, James?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to do our last little piece here, which is A or B. I will present 2 options, and Pudge, James, and I will decide for each of us which option we'd prefer to take. Are we good to go?
Best. Go ahead.
All right. First, A or B. A, and this is probably more towards Pudge than it would be your James, but A, Scott Fishbowl live draft, or B, Fantasy Football Expo.
Expo.
Why?
Final answer.
Okay.
I loved it. It was good. It was great. I had a great time. I loved it.
This is a hard one for me because of my involvement. I am involved with the Scott Fish Bowl on a couple different fronts, including coordinator of the Michigan Live, and I love what Scott Fish Bowl represents, Fantasy Cares represents, and the good that they do in on behalf of many charities. But the Fantasy Football Expo is just so. It is so expansive, and it just includes everybody, and it just goes beyond one facet of fantasy football, which is this charitable tournament, and the fact that you can meet so many people. For me, I will also say the Expo.
I would say Expo too, even though I've done neither of them because you had me at beer.
Well, somebody had, Jamie, more booze and more drafts for the Expo. That is true. There's a lot more going on. We may see some different things now that
We had a 6-hour draft.
Oh, that was way too long. Way too long.
Why would a draft take 6 hours? Was it an auction?
IDP.
It was IDP, but it took a lot longer than the year
full team
before.
IDP?
Yeah. Here's the thing. It took so long that the organizers of Draft Night Out left. They said, "You're on your own."
And we weren't taking a very long time. Everybody's picks were going along pretty good. So,
by the way, James, jot this date down: Saturday, July 11, 2026. The Scott Fish Bowl 16 live draft in Michigan will be held that day north of Detroit at Rochester Beer Co. I'm sure you've been there. I know you've been there. In Rochester.
I've been to the brew house. I've had a lot of their beer, but I don't think I've been to the brewery.
Well, okay. You're going to be there Saturday, July 11, 2026.
That very well could be because that's a different weekend than it normally has been the last couple of years, right?
It's moved around, but yes. Yep. It's a week earlier. So
it usually falls on this. It always falls on this weekend that I go to this giant craft beer party in Lake City with a whole bunch of people from around the state of Michigan. And everybody brings the craziest beers they can find for a year. And we just drink barrel aged beers for 2 days.
Oh boy.
Okay. Ooh, I may have to go there instead. No, it's. I think that we have to figure out a way. We have to get Michigan beer enthusiasts, and there's a lot of them, to come up with a way that we can combine beer and charity the same way that Scott Fish Bowl does with fantasy football and charity. So let's talk about that later. But we're going to get you signed up. By the way, if you are interested, registration for Scott Fish Bowl 16 is available now. Go to scottfishbowl.com/apply.php to register for your chance to get into Scott Fish Bowl 16 next year. That's either the slow drafts or the live drafts. But if you want to draft and you want to be a part of an incredible charity event, a tournament that is worldwide, again, scottfishbowl.com/apply.php. Next, A or B, standard rusher rules in Dynasty. Do you want A, Bucky Irving, or B, Rashad White, Isaac Tesla, and a 2026 round 2? Pudge, you go first.
I get Bucky Irving or the other?
You get Bucky Irving or B, Rashad White, Tesla, and a 2026 round 2. And this is
I'll
Dynasty.
take Bucky. I'll take
Okay,
Bucky.
you're going to take Bucky. James?
The taste law on the pick is tempting, but I think I would probably stick with Bucky too. Bucky's gonna, even if it's a committee, Bucky's gonna be the big part of the committee over Rashad. And I know a guy who knows Rashad personally.
Oh, well, hey, get him on our show. This week we got James Cook on the show, so now we need now we need
Guy who
Rashad
knew
White.
Rashad White in college.
Yes, I'll go Bucky Irving as much as I like Rashad White, I do, but I got to take Bucky Irving here. I don't know what to expect from Tesla. That's not the purpose of the show. We can talk about that some other times, James. But and the round 2,
we're gonna have to because we gotta speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're
I can
we're
talk
to the
about
end
Tesla
anyway.
for a long time.
We're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Third, A or B. In a redraft superflex league with standard scoring, would you rather have A, Jamar Chase, or B, Josh Allen?
I will
James,
take.
Go ahead, Pudge.
Oh no.
No,
Guess
you
first.
go. Okay, James, go ahead.
You're gonna make me go first too. Okay, so Jamar or Josh Allen?
And this is a redraft superflex league.
Redraft?
Scoring. It's a redraft and a superflex.
And a super flex. I would go Josh Allen, just because it's super flex, and it depends on the scoring system a bit. I would definitely not be disappointed to have Jamar Chase.
For poos and giggles, we'll say 4-point rushing TD or 4-point passing TD, 6-point rushing TD, 1 point for every 10 yards, or 0.01 for every 10 yards.
Yeah. Standard scoring.
Yeah, I think I'd go Allen, but God, you can't miss on either of those two guys. I think, and only because it's super flex. If it was a standard 1 QB system, it's Jamar Chase all day.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm taking Chase. I'm taking Chase personally.
I wouldn't blame you.
With that defense, they are going to have to score.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, it's just preseason. Don't get it twisted. But from what I saw this preseason game, they are already midseason form. That offense.
Yeah, that second game of the preseason
that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. It really was. I probably go Allen here. Only because first of all, is it a third round reversal? What's going? Who am I going to get at 20? If we're talking about a 12-team league and I'm at 24, am I going to? You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go Chase. If it's standard scoring, the rushing quarterback isn't as important as it would be if there are, points for first downs or
right.
Standard scoring, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go Chase because there's going to be enough. The pocket quarterbacks have a much more significant role. And so you can get enough quarterbacks at 24. And even if it's a third round reversal and I don't get the pick until 36, I got to remember standard scoring. So many of these leagues now are not standard scoring. It throws me off. Standard scoring, I'm going to go Chase. All right. And then the final A or B, Traverse City Cherries or B, Leelanau Peninsula Wines. James, you go.
Jeez. Now I got to throw somebody on the bus locally? Okay. If you ever come to the National Cherry Festival, one of the dirty secrets of the National Cherry Festival is that the cherries that they serve there are not from Traverse City. They hold the festival They hold the festival too early, so it's before the harvest. So the cherries that they sell at the festival are from Washington.
Wow. Mind blown.
Wow.
But they wanted to do the they do the festival during the 4th of July week to get the holiday rush of people. So economically, it makes sense. Ideologically, it does not.
Wow.
I,
Okay.
I would say, both are fine choices. I would say Leelanau County wines, though. There's some pretty good, and I'm not even a wine guy, but I consider, Leelanau County wines are pretty good. The ones that I've had.
Pudge?
I can't. Hey, how can I disagree? James is he's throwing people under the bus. I have to go with him.
I don't even know. I mean, I just figured they were last year's cherries somehow preserved. I mean, I guess now that I think about it, that's really
disgusting.
stupid.
It's called wine.
I never.
Yes, it is.
They were frozen and then thawed. I don't.
That's ice wine, which is delicious, by the way, if you can get some, but it's very expensive.
Nobody's icing me in any way, shape, or form. I love Traverse City cherry. Okay, so my wife loves cherries and she loves wine, but we're talking about me. I love wine, and
I love lamp.
I love lamp. Next to
That escalated quickly.
Loud noises.
one beer in, and we're. But anyway, I mean, I will tell you, anyone who's not familiar with Northern Michigan wine, yes, I'm not going to say we can compete with Washington or California. We are the next best.
But we can compete. We can compete.
Incredible wines that can be had from the Leelanau Peninsula, and therefore, I'm going to go the wines. I used to drink wine a lot more. Actually, I used to drink wine a lot until I found UnTappd, and that just kind of got me beer centric. But I'm gonna go with the wines. Okay, James, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at JamesCook14. I have Instagram, but I don't use it a whole lot. I mostly just kind of share golf videos with some of my buddies off of Instagram and stuff, and post very rarely, and just kind of see what everybody else is doing. Facebook, standard Facebook, and then the Traverse City Record Eagle has, obviously our website. We have a Facebook page for the sports section. I'm on another podcast called Not the Same Old Lions, which is the hat here. We do a couple of episodes a week during the season and periodically during the off season too. So we're going to be doing our fantasy football episode. We're going to be recording that Sunday evening.
Sweet.
Well, hey, if you ever need a guest, you know where to find us.
Yeah, possibly. I guess we have a possibility of having somebody on from the fantasy life, but I'm not sure who. Like, they reached out to us about being on the podcast, which I'm like, okay.
Oh, nice, very nice.
Great. But I don't know if that's happening or not for sure.
Oh, that'd be a great cat.
We requested Kendall.
That'd be a good one.
I am FF LePudge on X, and I am FF LePudge at FantasyNowPlus.com on Blue Sky.
And you can find me at ffcommish_YIS on both X and Discord, and ffcommishYIS.fantasynowplus.com on Blue Sky. I want to thank the audience for listening, and a special thank you to James for spending time with us. Thank you, James. It was a pleasure having you here with us. Yeah. Our next episode will be Friday, August 22 at 3 p.m. Eastern and noon Pacific. Catch up on episodes of Fantasy Studs and Suds and your other favorite Fantasy Now Plus shows here on YouTube, YouTube Music, Apple Music, and Spotify. Follow Finn's Talk Sports Network here on YouTube. Follow Fantasy Now Plus on Discord, TikTok, Blue Sky, and subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. Until next time, for Pudge LePage, I am the Fantasy Nobody, Jeffrey Crisp. Be good, be kind, be responsible, and cheers.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.